Hi and welcome to this new video. Today we are going to continue our tutorials on Dataform. The last time we discussed how to get started with Dataform by creating our workspaces, making sure that all our APIs in our roles are properly set up. We are going to dig even deeper into our Dataform interface. I will show you how to organize your folders, how to write finally some SQL, and introduce some JavaScript. I am in my data farm test project that we used the previous time. If you have not watched my previous video and read my article on how to get started with data farm, I will leave some helpful links to get you started. I'm going to click on my repository. You can see that I have a workspace to distinguish it from other workspaces in case I will be working with teammates, for example. This is the data form interface. There is really nothing fancy here. We have some folders on the side panel, and I have two directories. I have the definitions directory and the includes directory. Each of those directories will serve a purpose, starting with definitions. We will put all our queries that we are going to create for the project in the definitions. The includes will handle everything related to JavaScript functions and storing variables that we can use in our definition. Okay, let's explain the structure for the definitions directory. Basically, we will break it down to three main subdirectories. So we have the sources, the intermediate tables, and the output tables. Our sources will handle transforming raw data export from G4 to basic tables like the session tables and the other tables. The goal here is get basic data and format it to later on use the outputs of this step as inputs for our intermediate. We have here the sessions tables and the orders table. In the intermediate table, we just combine them to get the orders by channel. We'll get session information, orders information, and combine it. In the output table, we'll basically make it ready to be used in Looker Studio and other BI tools. Okay, so I showed you the overview of the different subdirectories. Let's start by creating them under definitions. Let's click on create directory. I will create the first one, which is sources. The second one, which is intermediate. In the sources, create our first directory. We're handling the G for first. And within that, we are going to create a file. Each file will handle a query. I'm going to start by a very simple example. This called sessions, and the extension is SQLX because we are going to use JavaScript within our SQL. Click on create file, and we can write our query. We prepared our directories and we created the SQLX file, which we named sessions. And you can see here that I already wrote a SQL query where I got the event date, the source, and the session count. And the only thing that will probably stand out for you is the config block. It is like a setting block for your query. It will define the type of the output. For example, here we want a table because later on the sessions table will be stored in our BigQuery and we want it to be displayed as a regular table. The second is the schema where it will be stored. I will show you this later on when we run the query and save it in our BigQuery account. There are some optional properties like the tags. I can add tags or labels to my query. For example, I want to run this query on a daily basis and it belongs to G4 data sources. I will run the query. I've got my event date, my sources, and the session count. Our query, as you can see, is working correctly. Now we need to introduce some JavaScript. We are going to create dependencies between our tables. It all will make sense as we move through the tutorials. But for now, just remember that it is not really practical at all to reference your data source directly within the SQL. We are going to create a declaration file. It is a JavaScript file, by the way. Whenever we have a data set we want to reference, we are going to add it to our declarations file. The second file we are going to create is within the includes. So the includes will store all our constants, the data we are going to use on every query instead of just typing it over and over again. Within my constants file, I will add my database, dataset, and tables information, and then I will export them. I created three constants here, which reference the information about my database. I'm going to reference this data within my declarations file. I'm going to use a function called declare and the brackets, and then I will delete this manual input here and replace it with JavaScript. We need to add a dollar sign and then a curly brace to add any statement within a SQL query. I will use a function and then I will add my data set. If everything I do is correct, I will get the green check mark right here. If I make an error, let's say I forget the E at the end, I will get the message right here. One other interesting fact you should know is that all the JavaScript that is rendered properly, you can see it here. Instead of seeing the JavaScript statements, I can see the actual SQL query directly within the interface. I will just run the query to show you that what we've done is correct. And then I have my data here. The last part I'm going to share with you is how to actually see this table or this query that we created in Bigquery as a table. All you need to do is to execute the query using this tab right here. You click on actions and then you select the file. Our file name is sessions. You click on that. I'm going to explain to you the different options in a later tutorial as we dive deeper into Dataform. For now, just click on start execution. We will go to BigQuery. You can see that my query right here is under sessions. Those are the fields that we created. And then I have my data. So this is really how Dataform works. In the upcoming videos, we are going to talk about more advanced examples. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.